I have never gone bankrupt, by the way. I have never. But out of hundreds of deals,
but sir,
excuse me,
that's your line. But their companies have gone bankrupt.
Out of what am I saying?
CNN breaking news.
Now we begin with the breaking news from Wall Street. Trading has been underway now for just about 30 minutes, and nervous investors, very nervous investors, are weighing in on President Trump's historic new global tariffs. The early assessment.
Well, it finally happened. Donald Trump pulled another economic Houdini, except this time, the trick was making money disappear. The man who swears he's never gone bankrupt, while casually forgetting his companies have done it like it's a seasonal tradition. Just hit Wall Street with a Trump-sized wrecking ball, and let's just say, investors not loving it. Let's unpack this orange madness.
Concerns. Almost all goods entering the United States will face a new tax of at least 10%, and that means inflation-weary Americans will see even higher prices on virtually everything. And that adds to the deepening concerns among economists.
So here we are. The stock market, usually allergic to surprises, took one look at Trump's shiny new tariff tantrum and screamed like it saw its 401k dating Kanye. It fell hard, like a MAGA hat in a hurricane. And where was Trump during the chaos? Probably sitting in Trump Tower like a confused raccoon watching a blender, fingers twitching above the tweet button, ready to blame literally anyone but himself.
Today was the first day of trading on Wall Street since Trump slathered our economy in honey and staked it down next to a fire ant hill. And the Dow Jones nosedived 1,700 points, joining the S&P and NASDAQ in having their biggest drop since 2020. So, worst day for our economy since COVID. Just a little reminder, this time, he's the disease.
Trump, the new COVID just marked that quote. Hilarious. The fallout was exactly what you'd expect from a Trump-induced economic disaster. Loud, messy, and so painfully predictable it could have been a rerun. The market in freefall, and Trump's response? Blame literally everyone else. If your guess was deep state, fake news, and corrupt politicians, congratulations. You've won a MAGA hat signed in invisible ink. A storm of tweets hit the timeline like clockwork. Classic Trump, every message more delusional than the last. The man could be sinking on a boat he built himself and still blame the ocean, while he was busy tossing blame grenades like confetti. His financial empire, which is basically just smoke, mirrors, and tacky gold elevators, started looking shakier than a Trump University diploma.
Wolf, markets are tumbling as investors are really digesting worse than expected tariffs. You have the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P all down below, as you can see there, 3%. Retail stocks in particular really selling off. Nike, Adidas, Lululemon, these are companies that source a lot of their goods from abroad, countries that are now under higher tariffs. And just look at the countries that were hit in yesterday's announcement. You have the European Union, 20% tariff. You have Japan, 24%, China, 34%, and Vietnam, 46%. Key trading partners to the U.S. Investors are worried what this means for businesses.
And now we arrive at the juicy part, the irony. This is the same guy who spent years flexing his business genius. Remember? The self-proclaimed king of capitalism? Turns out the only thing he's turning into gold is debt. The man who bragged he could run the country like one of his great companies. Well, he kinda did. It's just that all those companies also went bankrupt. Now he's sitting in the middle of his own economic disaster show, watching his investments disintegrate like a cheap Trump steak under a heat lamp. The mighty Midas touch, gone. What we've got now, a jester with a crown 2 sizes too big, and no one's clapping.
As we watch the stock market, is that the president has been far less reactionary to how the stock market is in this term, in his second administration, than in his first. We have been told repeatedly now not to see him react to the stock market directly because of this. Instead, he has said repeatedly now that he believes there will be some short-term pain. So I'd keep that in mind as well as we cover this. Pamela?
All right, Elena Treen, thank you so much.
The hypocrisy here? It's rich. This is the same guy who once live tweeted every tick of the stock market like it was a scoreboard at WrestleMania. Now that the economy's doing cartwheels into the abyss, suddenly he's a Buddhist monk preaching patience and short-term pain. Right. The only pain Trump's ever endured is when his spray tan goes uneven. Let's rewind the tape on this so-called business wizard. The man who practically invented bankruptcy as a lifestyle choice is now nosediving into another financial mess. Only this time, it's his own doing. And guess what? There's no bailout package for bad vibes and delusion.
You say, wait. Isn't he a huge business success? Doesn't he know what he's talking about? No, he isn't. And no, he doesn't. His bankruptcies have crushed small businesses and the men and women who work for them. He inherited his business. He didn't create it. And whatever happened to Trump Airlines? How about Trump University? And then there's Trump Magazine, and Trump Vodka, and Trump Steaks, and Trump Mortgage. A business genius, he is not.
So what now? Well, if the Trump playbook trademark teaches us anything, it's that a pivot is coming. Soon he'll be saying the stock market was rigged all along. Or maybe he'll blame solar flares, the deep state, or a time-traveling Obama. One thing's guaranteed, Trump's grip on reality is about as stable as one of his casinos before foreclosure. He might still have his loyal base hypnotized, but the rest of us, we see it for what it is. The empire's crumbling, and this time nobody's buying the act.
Of hundreds of deals that I've done, hundreds, on 4 occasions, I've taken advantage of the laws of this country, like other people. I'm not going to name their names because I'm not going to embarrass, but virtually every person that you read about on the front page of the business sections, they've used the law. The difference is when somebody else uses those laws, nobody writes about it. When I use it, they say, oh, Trump.
This market collapse? It was like watching a soap opera in slow motion, where the villain finally gets what's coming to him. Stocks didn't just dip, they nosedived with the elegance of a drunk elephant on ice. And in the middle of it all, the Trump brand, once marketed as pure gold, now smelled more like a 3-day-old fish market. The empire that never loses suddenly looked like it had been built out of expired coupons and over-leveraged ego. The market sensed blood in the water and decided to pounce hard. Dollar signs disappeared like they owed Trump rent, and the only thing growing was the list of people pointing and laughing. But in true Trump fashion, instead of looking in the mirror, he grabbed his trusty flamethrower and went to work. Except this time, even his most dramatic finger pointing started to sound like whining. So here comes the million-dollar question. How did the self-anointed greatest businessman of all time miss the signs? Wasn't this the same guy who said he could turn any deal into a gold mine? Apparently, the only thing he's been turning is investor confidence into dust. It's like watching someone perform a reverse magic trick. Instead of pulling rabbits out of hats, he makes wealth disappear from bank accounts. Promises of prosperity now echo like bad real estate jingles in a foreclosed mansion. Because here's the kicker, it wasn't the deep state or aliens or CNN this time, it was just math. Bad deals, bad planning, bad instincts, and a whole lot of ego.
What about people who simply didn't have the money? Trump didn't really have a problem with that.
A set of playbooks for the sales team coached them on how to market the courses even to single mothers with 3 children who, quote, may need money for food. Money, instructed the playbook, is never a reason for not enrolling in Trump University. If they really believe in you and your product, they will find the money. You are not doing any favor by letting someone use lack of money as an excuse.
Lack of money is not an excuse, is not what single parents need to hear. It's what Donald Trump needs to hear when a 5th company of his inevitably files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Honestly, if bankruptcies were an Olympic sport, Trump would have retired with more gold than Michael Phelps. Wall Street's reaction? A slow clap, with sarcasm so thick you could bottle it and sell it as Trump cologne, essence of failure. And remember those casinos? Trump's crown jewels? Yeah, they didn't just flop, they imploded. His luxury empire crumbled faster than a cheap poker table in Atlantic City. It wasn't a hiccup, it was a blueprint for financial disaster. And somehow, the man who lectures everyone about wealth is now basically a walking TED Talk on how not to run a business. The pattern is always the same: market crash, Trump panics, Trump denies, Trump blames, and eventually, boom, bankruptcy on the horizon again.
Say that President Trump's tariffs will likely plunge the global economy into recession this year. Some countries say they're hoping they can negotiate with the U.S., while others have vowed swift retaliation. Listen.
We had been requesting the U.S. government to review its unilateral tariff measures at various levels, and we are extremely disappointed and regret that such measures have been implemented nonetheless.
Our intention remains to secure a deal, but nothing is off the table.
We will continue to make the strongest case for these unjustified tariffs to be removed from our exporters.
We're going to fight these tariffs.
But who knows? And there it is. The entire planet now playing diplomatic dodgeball because Donald Trump thought tariffs were the economic equivalent of alpha male dominance. While Japan, Canada, and the UK were busy acting like actual grown-ups, Trump stood there with his arms crossed like the kid who just flipped the Monopoly board because he landed on Boardwalk. And yet, his confidence untouched. Somehow this man is gliding through financial ruin like he's on a red carpet, throwing tantrums, blaming everyone from global leaders to gravity, and pretending he's still the savior of capitalism. Meanwhile, everyone else just watching the slow motion implosion with a bucket of popcorn and a front row seat to the spectacle. And right on cue, the Twitter meltdown. Trump stormed the internet like a guy who just discovered caps lock for the first time. Tweets flying, blame shifting, fake news this, rigged market that. Classic Trump. Turn economic collapse into a one-man pity parade. He actually wants us to believe the entire market crash is a targeted smear campaign, a global recession. No. That's not the result of reckless policy or blunder after blunder. It's all about him, because in Trump's head, the universe is just one big anti-Trump plot with a terrible Yelp review.
Just to be clear, all these people who keep banging on about him being a brilliant business person who is transactional. Taj Mahal, April 1990 in Atlantic City, took 6 months before it defaulted on interest payments to bondholders as his own finances went into a spin. July 91, it filed for bankruptcy, couldn't keep up debts on 2 other Atlantic City casinos. Those properties declared bankruptcy in 92. The Plaza Hotel in New York declared bankruptcy in 92 after amassing debt. After 92, 2 more bankruptcies. Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts filed in 2004, again, after accruing about $1.8 billion in debt, and then Trump Entertainment Resorts declared bankruptcy in 2000.
At this point, even the internet has run out of shocked reactions. It's not even news anymore. It's just the regularly scheduled programming. The memes write themselves. Trump once again turning personal failure into public theater. His tweets, part rage, part reality denial, part please clap energy, like a man trying to convince the world he meant to trip on stage. And the worst part, it's not even surprising. This is the Trump business model. Hype it, break it, blame someone else, repeat. Every chart going down feels like karma with a calculator. This isn't just bad luck, it's the end game of a man who ran a global economy like it was one of his casinos. Flashy on the outside, broke on the books. And honestly, the only real mystery left is this. Why are we still watching? Maybe it's the spectacle, maybe it's the disbelief, or maybe, just maybe, it's because we know another Trump disaster is already loading.
You're hearing from the administration this morning.
Well, Pamela, it's clear that the White House has been very intentional in its messaging. You know, despite some of the president's defenders, Republicans on Capitol Hill, others who have argued that the president is a pragmatist at heart, that perhaps he would pull back on some of these tariffs, it's clear they were wrong. The president was serious about this. And as Vance just laid out, and as we've heard from other top advisors this morning, he is committed to these tariffs really because he fundamentally believes the United States is getting taken advantage of, and he wants to really break the trading system that has been built over the last 70 or 80 years now.
Here's the real mystery of it all. Why are his followers still clapping at this we just heard? Trump's financial empire is basically a pile of burning credit reports, and yet somehow his base is still convinced he's Gordon Gekko with a Bible. These are the same people who have watched him declare bankruptcy more times than he's been married, and still say he's a business mastermind. Forget logic, forget data. For them, it's all about the brand. He's like a washed up rock star still selling out stadiums even though the mic's unplugged and the band quit in 97. The illusion is strong. Even when Trump's business success is literally falling apart on live television. They don't see the debt, they see the swagger, the suits, the bravado, the gold-plated genius. It's not about reality, it's about the performance.
Outside the Taj Mahal, which used to be owned by Donald Trump, she tried to shift the discussion to Trump's business practices in Atlantic City, where the billionaire businessman went bankrupt 4 times.
You can just make out the word Trump where it used to be written in flashy lights. Just down the boardwalk is the Trump Taj Mahal. Donald once called it the 8th wonder of the world. It filed for bankruptcy.
There it is, the full cycle. Another Trump venture, another collapse. And somehow, he still walks away spinning it like a win. At this point, even bankruptcy must be exhausted. And yet, every time the dust settles, the act continues. A fresh excuse, a rebranded comeback, and his loyal followers lining up like it's the season finale of a show that should have been canceled years ago. But here's the thing, how many more rounds of this do we need before even the most loyal MAGA fan starts wondering, wait, does this guy actually ever succeed? Or is he just the undefeated king of the rebrand, holding on to bankruptcy like it's a family heirloom? Either way, one thing's certain, he's not done failing yet. Want to see another one of Trump's team's faceplants? Click on this. It's jaw-dropping.